All right, we are going to do some more driving for dollars. We're just leaving a property here in West Covina. We've got Vanessa in the back seat from Lead Gen Pros. She is going to write down some addresses as we drive through. So let's take a look and we'll show you guys what to look for on houses so you know which ones are doing that. And Lindsay's not wearing her seatbelt in the car, so that's what the beeping is. Always wear your seatbelt. It's a safety thing, especially when driving for dollars. Let me explain why. Because as you start looking at houses and there's a parked car in front of you, you could potentially hit it. So make sure that you wear your seatbelt. All right. All right, so if we look behind Lindsay right here and we look at the roof on this house. So if you look at the roof, the rest of the house actually looks really good. But the roof just needs to be replaced. So, I mean, it's one you could write down, but ultimately the house is pretty well taken care of, so probably not one that I would. If there was something more like older windows, yard torn apart, something like that, then I'd potentially write that one down. This is actually a pretty nice neighborhood, so this is going to be one where we're really looking for that, that shithole. So let's see what we can find. And when you have neighborhoods like this is where you want to try to get the houses, because if you look, like, I mean, look at these houses. They're all taking care of things. They're all older homes, but they're taken care of very well. The windows are newer. The yards are taken care of. I doubt this has an HOA because of the age of the neighborhood. So people just actually care here, which doesn't happen very often. So let's see what we can find. Wow, this is a nice neighborhood. We'll find one. So you can look for houses that have like old windows. The old windows are usually have like cross hatching in them. So like this over here. Definitely old single pane windows in California. That's really a no-no, but because your house is gonna heat up really quick. But the rest of the house is taken care of so well, it's not anything I would waste time on. You're really looking for that real distressed property. So we're kind of starting to get into some, I mean, some bad fascia on some of them, but fascia's still a pretty quick fix. I have no idea where we are, by the way. We're just kind of driving around. So we may end up leaving a neighborhood, which it looks like we're doing right now. Try not to hit people walking. Always a positive if you don't hit anything. And it looks like there's a mobile home parked back there. We don't typically do mobile homes unless they're dirt cheap, so we'll skip that. It's like there's another neighborhood up here, so we'll go check that one out. Hopefully it's real shitty. So this one here, you can't really see too much, but above the garage, there actually is a peak right there, but the roof's kind of caving in. So most likely they added that garage onto the house. So this one's 19352. And they didn't support it well enough, so it's actually collapsing. But the rest is taken care of. I'd put it down just to see, because if they need a little help from us on fixing that, we'll take over the house for them. Old garage doors on this side, but again, the house looks okay. So this is a nice area. All right, so this one over here on the end, you can see in the peaks kind of the paint starting to peel off. It looks like there's probably some termite damage or something in there. Could be signs of things starting. We can write it down just for the hell of it, and it doesn't really cost much to start marketing to it. So we'll write down 4545 for this one. Old windows on the house as well. I can't imagine having single pane windows in California. Your air conditioner, if you have air conditioning, will be running all day long during the summer just because the heat would come in. Even if we're driving for dollars and you find just, you know, just a couple houses, I mean, if you get one of them and you can make $40,000, $50,000 off of it, then it sounds like a win to me. There's gotta be someone in here that doesn't take care of their house. Some cities too, they also really keep on people. So Covina might be one of them that stays on people to make sure that their houses aren't no code violations and things like that. So if that's the case, then that might be why we don't see a ton of those houses. We'll Try not to hit the police car. Ultimately, a pretty nice neighborhood. We may actually not find anything in here. I really want a house. There it is. There's the house right there. There's gotta be one in every single neighborhood. Garage door looks like it's been cut across the top. Bushes overgrowing, cars, tires going flat. Look at that house. I mean, the roof is entirely covered with plants, pine needles. The bushes out front, I mean, they're so overgrown. So this is the person you don't want to live next to. So, and there's another one. Oh, this is a good street. Let's buy them both. So this one down here at the end, see the old wooden shingles on top, got broke down cars on the side of the house. There looks like there's a tarp or something towards the middle of the roof. Not really laid out though. Windows old. That house there is a big antenna up there. I don't know what the heck that guy's doing, like he's broadcasting radio or something like that, but I want his house, so I think we'll probably try to buy it if he's got an address on it. Let's see, 4545. Okay, and we'll swing back around so we can get the address on this other shithole we saw. 4516. Look at that. We're gonna buy that. So a lot of times things just get out of control, right? Like you could have an elderly person in there and they've kept up on things for a long time, maybe owned the house since it was built, and family grew up there. Either someone passed away or they got to the point where they're not quite ready to go into a nursing home yet. They don't want to admit they can't do things. So at this point, those people are just, things have started piling up so much on the property, all the repairs. And it's not that they don't have the money to do some of this stuff in most cases, it's that they don't want to hire people to do it. And they realize, they haven't come to the realization that they can't do it all themselves yet. So eventually that time will come, but at a certain point, it gets to be too late, because when you have roof issues and garage issues like we saw at that house, water gets in. When water gets inside of a house that's supposed to be sealed, you start running into issues. Water can get in the electric lines, you can get rats inside. I've been inside of a house that had a hole in the roof, and we're walking through it and the entire floor was covered in rat feces. And there was literally rats running around in the house while we're walking through it. And the guy that owned it was embarrassed, and he almost didn't want to show us the house. But you know, for us, we let him know, hey, we got to see the inside. The entire house just covered in water damage, but in the ceiling, you could see what looked like a stain, and it didn't look like water damage. So we started looking into it, and it was actually a beehive. The bees had honey inside of the roof, and just right above the sheetrock. So there was a ton of bees in there, rats all over the place. I mean, the house was a complete disaster. It wasn't really a tear down. It just, I mean, it probably needed $150,000 in work to get the house back where it needed to be. So you'll run across things like that. Most important thing is, when it comes time to meet with those homeowners, you can't walk into the house going, oh God, this is horrible. Oh, the smell is horrible. You can't do that, because if you do that, then the homeowners feel embarrassed and they're less likely to work with you and build rapport with you and do things like that. So you need to act like there's no problem. We've also been into a house that had sewage literally piled up in the tub in 100-degree temperatures for God knows how long. I could smell the house from the street. We did buy that one. We actually flipped it. We made like $250,000 on it. But again, the guy was very embarrassed and things just got out of hand. Everyone makes mistakes. So for him, we didn't act like there was a problem. I felt like I wanted to throw up in the house, but I held it in and I didn't act like there was an issue. And by doing that, we were able to buy the house from him. He was about ready to lose it to foreclosure, and the guy was so happy that we took that off his hands. So make sure when you meet with people, when that time comes, if you knock on those doors, you don't act like you're knocking on the door because the house looks like crap from the outside. You're knocking on the door just because you happen to be in the neighborhood, right? You don't want to knock and say, hey, Mr. Seller, your house looks like shit, so I thought I'd stop by. You want to make sure that they think that you just are going door to door to door. And it might mean you have to actually knock on a couple neighbors' doors of nice houses. That way they don't see that. But ultimately, this is our episode of Driving for Dollars. We'll do this weekly, so we'll see you guys next week.